Aloha from the Big Island. It's another Monday lock and load, and we've got some interesting outdoor bushcraft stories today. This is the so far I think we're on dodging on the Big Island. We're just dodged Hurricane number 8, and Hurricane number 9 is headed this way. But in the meantime, we've everybody's got some bushcraft stories and or outdoor stories at least, and I think Smedgy is starting a fire in a minute live on Gun Channels. One sec. All right, so I got this idea for this chat from Fox Company Prepping that they do the Friday show early for a Friday before any of the Gun Channel shows start called Man the Fuck Up Friday, and it's all UK guys, and I don't get all their slang, but it's a real fun show. So check it out, and so I'm hoping he'll take this as his contrast entry because he's giving away like a few $100s worth of bushcraft gear, leather sheaths, and knives and stuff. And it's Ron Swanson from Fox Company Prepping. So anyway, I'm going to start out with my story, and until Smedgy gets his fire started. But and I've told this one before, but I didn't have a map because it's been out of context since. So this is basically any outdoors or bushcraft story. So if you want to jump in and you have a story to tell, and you want to, if Ron Swanson from Fox Company Prepping will take this whole thing, it'll if not, it'll just be a fun bushcrafting outdoors chat anyway. So because a lot of people have a lot of fun stories to tell. So the only thing is, it's like it's got to be a bushcraft story or an outdoors of something that happened that you didn't have like the entire military backing you up, in case something went wrong. So um, anyway. So anyway, this beats politics because how much Trump, Deflategate, and Hillary crap and can you possibly take, right? So anyway, I'm gonna start with my story, and then Brian's got some cool stories, and everybody's busting at the seams. So let me. Has Meggie started his fire yet? If not, I'm gonna share a map. 1 second. Let me punch up the right map. There we go. And screen share button. All right, so hope you guys can see this. 1 second. So what this is a trailhead. This is a Malibu. And let me click on the map and not the YouTube page. But this is Zuma Canyon. I'm going to zoom out. Zuma Trancas. And there's Zuma Beach. I once rented a house and had a wild party down here, but that was many years after this event that I'm going to talk about was. So to get some context on this because I could tell the story, but until I show you the canyon, so you won't kind of get it. I mean, this is a really kind of a steep canyon walls. You see these rock walls up here? And basically, I'll show you the hike, but it involves you can see this is like straight up from the hiking trail is through this, goes through this, these are like huge rock boulders that have fallen off at the bottom of this creek bed. But anyway, let me go back to regular map for a minute. And so where this story starts, and just in case you know the area, this is Mulholland Highway, which goes all the way to Ventura County line, and this is Canyon Dune Road here. And this is This little section is Newton Canyon. The Backbone Trailhead is a broken trail that goes all through Santa Monica Mountains, and it goes through Zuma Canyon as well, Upper Zuma Canyon mostly. But anyway, let's go to the start. This Fred Miller camp is like a prison, basically. They're calling it a school. It's a prison for youth offenders, and this here is like a fish pond, a farm, like farm-grown fish. Anyway, so you park your car right here, is what I did. Parked my car right here, and this hike was in a book, right, called Hiking Trails in Santa Monica Mountains, and this was the toughest hike in the book, and I was 23 and full of piss, and I used to, do 80-mile bike rides or whatever, and every day almost, and every weekend or every other weekend at least I'd do this hike. So you go up the trailhead here, and this is basically just a dirt road, and you just follow this dirt road. This goes uphill, and I'll go back to the tilt view. You guys out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so thanks. Just want to make sure my system is working. Anyway, so it starts going uphill and uphill and uphill, and you're going up this trail, and up, and I was just wearing jeans, and I had one like leather pouch of water, those things I used to sell, like what do you call them? Those like you put wine in.
It's like a wine skin or a bladder.
Yeah, bladder. It was just bladder skin, whatever, full of water, and I had jeans, hiking shoes, and a urban camo military jacket, and I may or may not have had a piece of shit 22 in one of my pockets, and that's about it. A pretty crappy one that I couldn't hit anything more than 2 feet away with. And I was only 23. I didn't really practice with guns, but I didn't bring anything bigger because it was a long ass hike and didn't want anything heavy, and it gets really hot out there. So the first thing is you come up along this ridge that keeps going up and up and up. Is this one house? I'm looking at the picture now, and it was these two homes didn't used to be here. Just this little one was here. I didn't know it at the time, but this actually belonged to a park ranger. But I didn't know it at the time. I found that out later. Although there was no sign of them that day. So, this was 23. This was over 25 years ago, so the statute of limitations of anything I may have done wrong was expired, and I did end up actually working with the park rangers, by the way, but including that guy. But anyway, so you go up this mountain, and it keeps going up and up and up, and one more tilt. It's just going up, and all right. Wolves, by the way, gather there at night, right on that mountain, by the way, and how. So, and anyway, you get to this spot. This is where they like to gather, this top, the wolves, but coyotes, not wolves, damn it, coyotes. So this is this little, now the road goes all the way down to Zuma Beach, or I mean at least to the road, but the Zuma Ridge Mountain Way. This is like a fire trail, but this here is the Edison Road, and you take the switchback, and there's like little, electric lines. You can see this electric line. So there's electric towers and there's lines, and I think the line has been moved, but basically they put these towers here and this road so they could, this is, and basically goes up and down both sides of the mountain. So you take this Zuma Edison Road down to get into the creek bed, right? So at this point here, I've seen rattlesnakes down around here, but And Zoo Madison Road starts going up the mountain again on the other side, but you can see what you're going up to. And so with like no bushcraft items at all, just a water bladder and maybe some kind of firearm in my pocket that I couldn't possibly hit anything with. And I apologize to you if you've heard this story before, but you didn't see the geography before. And it really gives. So basically, as you go, it starts out with little boulders down here and little rocks, and you're rock hopping, and then it gets, as you go up, and the walls get higher and higher, and when you're down here, it's like they're towering above you. The boulders get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's like you're hopping semi-truck sized boulders, basically, as you're going up this canyon. And there's rattlesnakes, and I don't know if they were the good coral, red, black, and white coral snakes, or the fake one. I know that somebody told me the rules, but I always forget them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But there's snakes down there, and I know the rattlers are poisonous. But anyway, and there's also
these California king snakes you're talking about.
No, those are rattlers. There's
no, rattlesnakes, and then the California king snakes are the wannabe coral snakes that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the way you can tell them apart is red next to black is a friend of Jack, red next to yellow, you're a dead fellow.
Right. Well, believe me, I didn't know that rule. The only rule I remembered was leaves of 3, let them be, because there's poison oak, And so that's one reason I wore my military jacket, was because it has long sleeves, and even though it's hot, if you don't wear long sleeves, you're going to get poison oak scratches, you're going to get poison oak, and that sucks. So I had long pants and a long jacket. You can't wear shorts hiking through poison oak. So the lower part of this canyon is like boulder hopping, and as you can see, going up this fucking canyon, although there is a road right there, you cannot see it from down in the canyon, and you cannot hike up anyway to that, without rope, because it's just too steep. So you're going, okay, now I gotta, nope, wrong way. Come on, that's this thing isn't turning where I want it to. Yeah, keep pressing the button. Shit, motherfucker. No. Well, let me just go into a regular view. Oh, shit. So the Backbone Trail, that's the broken trail. So we're looking at it from mostly straight above, I think. Anyway, so I'm hiking up here all the way, and is this the waterfall? No, these are more rocks. No, this is the waterfall. So what this is, there's just like 30. Have we get the Newton Canyon yet? I don't know, that's not the waterfall yet. So I'm still hiking. See if it's how the tilt looks now. Yeah, I remember this trail. And this is the Backbone Trail, and it hooks up. And then I've never actually seen a way through there, but I've never actually seen that. So anyway, where are we? Are we at the waterfall yet? I don't see Newton Canyon. I need to pan out. Jeez. Let me get my terms. Does it help if I add terms? They did not used to have trailheads or anything around here back then. Is that Newton Canyon? No. I need to back out. Okay, there's Newton Canyon, right? Okay, there's one waterfall right here that you can climb up, and you don't need a rope. So this is definitely the waterfall right here. This is the Zuma Canyon waterfall. It's a dry creek in most of the summer. Of course, if it's raining, then all the water goes down the canyon walls and it's a flood. But there used to be a rope here before this event that I'm describing to you. And so I would hate for people, I hope if there still is, because somebody actually does the hike in this book and you get to this point and there's no rope, then you're not going to be able to make it up. And you can get out through Newton Canyon, but you pretty much need a rope to get up this, and there used to be one. But anyway, so I got up here, climbed up the rope, and so this is like a hidden gem. You don't usually see these kinds of beautiful canyons with a little pool on the top, and it's just one of those things you have to know about to see. I'm going to do a tilt view. Well, that's the waterfall anyway. So, and when you get to after that, it starts to turn into chaparral. Come on, motherfuckers. Let me zoom back out. So it starts to get into chaparral. And so I'm hiking and I get right to about, following the creek bed, right? And I get right about to where this backbone trail goes. And what happened was I'm right about here, and all of a sudden, as if you've heard the story before, there's a bunch of all of a sudden there's like, I start taking incoming fire right around here, and I notice there's paint on the leaves all around me, and people are shooting in my direction, and so I figure out that it's paintball, and I tell them to stop shooting at me, and that's like, why the fuck are you shooting at me? He's like, oh, we didn't know you were there. This is like, and I've done this hike. This is a published hike, and this is a national park, and so what happened is there was this real estate guy had leased one of the properties up along here, maybe that one, to a paintball company, and they started this gigantic paintball operation. So there's like, I don't know, 10 guys or whatever, maybe it was 9, and that basically confronted me and said, this is private property, you can't come on, you have to go back. Like, I ain't going back. It's like, 4 p.m. out by this point, and once the sun starts going down the canyon, you can just forget about hopping across boulders, in the dark. And so right around, where this backbone trail is, because that's where people could park cars, there was about, I don't know, 9 guys, and then a little further on here, there was about, another 30, 40 guys milling around. And, I didn't really pay attention to them because the guys that were in front of me blocking my way back to my car were, paintball guys, and so basically one guy was like the foreman, and he was saying, you can't go back, you have to go back, turn around. So I was like, no, so I start telling you, this is a public park, you can't shoot up the park, and I'm going through, this is a public trail. And it's like, no, it's private property, get the fuck off. And, he screams louder, I scream louder, and then he starts, screaming that he's going to arrest me, and it gets louder and louder, and then I just took a step back, and he's got 9 guys behind him, and the owner of the paintball company was just sitting back watching all this. He didn't really want to come to my rescue, and so basically 9 guys were about to kick the ever-living shit out of me, and because they're making a lot of money every weekend from doing this, right? So so basically I started laughing at him. I instead of yelling at him, I just laughed at him, took a step back, put my head in my pocket, and and then like he froze. And I just said, go ahead, arrest me. And I just laughed at him, and then he froze because he figured I was packing, and so then he stopped talking, and he just froze and was looking at my pocket. And then since he didn't want to argue anymore, I looked at the 9 guys that were backing him up, and they were one guy was disappointed because it looked like he had a look on his face like, oh man, I really wanted to kick the shit out of this guy. And the other guys were like, one guy was like waving his hands like, I'm not getting into a gunfight for like, $7.50 an hour. And so then I turned back, the guy who was still blocking my way down the public park, and And of course, he didn't want to talk anymore. He just decided to shut up, which is the smartest thing he ever did. And so anyway, the owner comes running because he thinks he thinks his foreman is about to be shot right before him. and which, well, I definitely wasn't going to let 9 guys kick the crap out of me and throw me off the cliff just because they want to make a few $1,000 shooting paintball. So he comes screaming, "Wait, wait, wait!" Because he was sure something bad was about to happen. And so, of course, I mean, God, if I had to actually pull that thing, I could have never hit anything. Even point blank, I might have hit something. But the thing is that I didn't know at the time is that the 40 guys behind milling, because this happened here, and the 40 guys were over here, not really paying any attention to any of this. And so basically, so one guy, so he comes, in and says, "Okay, well, what is it?" I told him again, this is a public park. You can't do this here. And he says, "No, it's private property. It's our property. We leased it. We have a right to do this here." So anyway, he says, "What do you want?" He says, "Well, I want to hike back to my fucking car," because at that point I was just like, and I pointed right through his paintball course. So, and so basically, there was no way I was going to go turn around just because he wanted to shoot at the park and go all the way back. I mean, let's take one more look. Look where he wanted me to hike. He wanted me to hike all the way back down this thing and then back up here, when I was only about 2 miles from my car, if that. So, basically, getting back to where the hell I was on this map. Some of this stuff was just not here at the time because this is a long time ago. But basically, I think the problem is that, the real estate person didn't tell him that they were on a national park, and the paintball guy didn't want to know. So anyway, long story short, I wound up helping the Rangers bust this guy, but I walked through 40 cops with my, hand in my pocket and, ready to shoot anybody, basically. Because all they had was paintball guns. But the cops were all from San Diego. They weren't in their jurisdiction, and they were sheriffs, and they were shooting on a paintball course with paint guns, so nobody takes live ammunition. Anyway, so basically this, went up. It's all chaparral. You know what they say, this part, if you're not in good shape, do not do this hike because it's freaking suicide. And you might want to make sure there's a rope there. But I keep getting lost. If you actually do take this hike, make sure not to turn right at Newton Canyon, by the way. But anyway, I go a little bit. It goes through the chaparral. What they say about chaparral, it's too low to the ground to give you any shade, too high to see over, and too thorny and prickly to walk through. So anyway, so long story short, I made it back to my car. When I got home, I called the cops. They didn't care. And then I called the Rangers. They said, "Sounds like a job for the Rangers." Because that time they didn't even have an answering machine. When you call the Rangers, they didn't. The Santa Monica, now they have a ton of people there, but back then, I'm lost on this map. Google. So basically, from around here, it's basically flat. You're not this is flat. It basically, you go up, finish walking up the creek, and you go up through this chaparral, and through this, there's a little more creek right up here, and it lets you out right about here, on the right behind the fish farm. And then you go back to your car, drive home. So I called the Rangers, and the chief ranger I got the hold of like 2 days later. He says, "Oh, please help me. I need help." So I kind of went and I did an investigation. I helped them, and because it took like 2 weeks, or no, it took like about a week and a half for an actual park ranger to show up. And so I just showed up, and I said, "Well, let me show you something." And so naturally they're shooting paintball, and I just you could hear it and see it from right from the road basically where they were shooting. So. And they wound up busting him, and they had to move somewhere else, basically. And that's my story. Next victim.
That's a very good story.
So, and I'm just gonna
Oh, we
show
got a
you.
fire going in the background.
Oh, Smedgy's got a
Yep.
fire. All right, so let me focus in on Smedgy's fire now instead of my stuff. So Smedgy all this time has been starting a fire in the background. I'm gonna in a minute.
Is it Smedgy or Smeggy?
It's Smeggy.
Smeggy, okay.
Yeah. But yep, I used a flint stick or whatever, and had a little cotton ball that I roughed up and found some grass and whatnot. Had a little bit of trouble getting it going.
All right, well, it looks
I think
cool,
it's
man.
going okay now.
Do you want to tell a story, your Bushcraft outdoor story now, or do you want
Sure.
somebody else to? Okay.
I'll tell my story. So, basically, mine's the polar opposite of Hawaii as far as setting goes. So I was in the northern part of the lower peninsula of Michigan, out in the middle of winter, going snowshoeing with my dad. And we go a trip every year. We go in January and take a snowshoeing trip. So this one year, we went up to, there's a place that has a bunch of like cross-country skiing trails and then also snowshoeing trails. So it was just going to be a little day hike, you park your car, go in a big circle, and come back to it. So we had all our stuff. We had a little backpack with, a couple bottles of water and some jerky or whatever. Not a whole bunch of stuff, but I was kind of starting my prepping. So I had some waterproof matches and, a couple of things that might help us survive. And, of course, my dad's laughing at me, right? He's like, oh, come on, we're going to be on the trail. It's no big deal, whatever. So we set off in the morning. And we start walking along the trail, and part of it's groomed, and then part of it's just out in the middle of nowhere. So the first part groomed, you're walking in snowshoes. You really don't need them. You could be walking in boots. Well, then we get off the trail, and there was probably about 1.5 feet of snow, and nice fluffy snow, so you're sinking down pretty good. And it's quite a bit of a workout. So we're walking through this trail, and the snow picks up, and all of a sudden we can't really see all the trail markers and whatnot. So we kind of know the direction that we want to go, and so we're still walking along, and we end up out at least like a couple miles out into the woods, nowhere near the trail. Well, I don't know exactly when we lost it, but we are nowhere near it now. And we had a little map, and it's like we're walking up hills that aren't on the map, and we're like, okay, well, at least we know we're still going west, so worst case scenario, in about 10 miles, we'll hit a road, and we'll hitchhike back to our car. And it was a little disconcerting. It's just that sense of not really knowing where you are and realizing, okay, if we have to spend the night out in the middle of nowhere, like, we're screwed. We don't have anything. The snow was coming down, pretty darn fast. And I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe, I guess. Like I said, it's not like we were in a life-threatening situation, but at the same time, it could have been worse. Pretty for about half the day, and still nowhere near where we should be, but we think we know the right way we're going. And, I'm the whole time talking to my dad about, okay, what do we do if the sun goes down and we're still out here? Because I'm not walking in snowshoes in a snowstorm in the middle of the night. Like, we're just going to get even more lost and get way away from the car. And so, I mean, I guess to jump to the end, we did end up finding the trail. So we didn't.
You don't have to jump to the end. Did anything happen in the middle that was fun?
Not really. Mostly just walking and getting tired and, trying to keep from sweating and all that kind of stuff. But it was more of me trying to instill in my dad some of the survival stuff, because he just wanted to trudge along at like super high pace. I had to keep trying to slow him down, going, hey man, like, we can't start sweating. If we start sweating that all the time, and it's true, because we stopped and took a break, and it's like you got cold within about 5 minutes once you stopped walking. So it's not a super exciting story.
Well, I know. How tired were you guys, though?
Oh my God, yes, that is definitely, we were exhausted. Because walking a mile in snowshoes is probably walking like 10 miles regular. Every step you take, your snowshoe kind of acts as a shovel, and it picks the snow up with your foot, so you're lifting all that extra weight. And we were still sinking down to about our knees. People think you walk along, it's just along the top of the snow and no harm, no foul. But that's not the case at all. You do sink down. It's just without the snowshoes, you sink down to your hip. So it does help.
Oh, yeah.
And I did try a trick because we ended up, I drank some of the water, and they were just like small water bottles. So I drank that, and I figured, okay, I'm going to pack it with snow and tuck it into my coat and let my body heat, melt it. And it worked. It did melt the snow, but you pack that entire thing filled with snow and you get like a sip of water. It's amazing when you actually do it how little water you get from the snow. So
And you lose body heat.
I guess that's one of those, you never know till you do it in real life. And I do like trying to test myself in it. I'll probably be okay. It's not really life and death, but I kind of pretend like it is. And like I said, with this one, it did work out okay. But I to this day, I don't know what I would have done if it was nighttime. Like, I don't know if I really could have built a shelter and like made a little fire and all that kind of crap. I really don't know if I could have.
What was the temperature?
It was probably in like the.
Okay.
I don't know exactly. So it wasn't super bitter cold, but.
I remember how.
Cold enough I wouldn't want to sleep outside.
Yeah, I remember the very first time I did try and hike Zuma Canyon. I started too late, and I did have to turn back and hike back up the hill. And I was so tired by the time I got to the top of the ridge. That's how I know the coyotes congregated at the top of Zuma Ridge there, because I was so tired. I mean, I don't think I could have. There was a pack of coyotes out there, like about 25 or 30 of them, and I startled them and they ran away, but because I was bigger than they were. But I was so tired, I could have not fought off 20 or 30 coyotes. But so I learned to start out much earlier on that fucking hike. But yeah, okay, well, but did you get hypothermic or anything, you think, when you're doing your hike?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you're pretty warm once you're working and when you're moving. So that part of it's okay. I guess, well, when we stopped to take a break, yeah, we did get pretty cold pretty quick.
Okay, and what state was this in? Where was this?
Michigan.
Michigan? All right. All right, that's a cool story.
That's my story.
All right, next victim. Who wants to go next?
Hey, Gavin, you want to go first?
I got nothing, man. I couldn't think of anything.
All right, well, I had one from back when I was a kid. I lived in this little town, California, in the San Bernardino Mountains called Cedar Pines Park. And me and my friends, we'd go trekking and, hiking all over the woods. And generally our start-off point was like we'd all meet up at either one of our houses, any of our houses really, and then we'd walk to the local park, which is generally, depending on whose house we met at, it'd probably be about a 1.5-mile, 2-mile walk, right? And you're pretty much just walking on regular roads and dirt roads until you get to the park. And then there's 2 levels in the park, and you go down to the bottom level, and then there's another footpath. You walk that about another mile, and then there'd be all sorts of game trails. And we'd take off on different game trails. Well, there was one we knew very well. It would take us down to these waterfalls. And it was about another mile off of that, further in. And it was really slick going. I mean, these game trails were really, really, really narrow, and it was on a pretty steep grade with a lot of loose forest crap on the floor, a bunch of leaves and broken old rotted wood and twigs and things like that. And one wrong move, one wrong step, and you'd be sliding down the hill pretty quickly. So we get through all that, and we found this one spot that we knew. We had to pick our way carefully off the slope down to this little creek that had some good-sized water beds. or waterfalls and some ponds where we used to go like swimming and stuff like that. So we went down there and we started going swimming, and then my friend Larry decides he wants to create a test of manhood. And that is pretty much you climb up the face of the tallest waterfall, which was like something like 12 feet, right? Not much, maybe a little more, maybe 15. Um, but granted, okay, we're like 10 years old at this time. You climb up the face of the waterfall
Wait, you're
through water.
10
Yeah, we were like 10 years old.
and your parents let you out. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was wandering around the mountains as soon as I moved up there, and I was like 6 when I moved up. So it was nothing unusual for us to go like take off and just go hiking and camping and doing whatever. Uh, so we're climbing up the waterfall. Some people make it, some people don't. Blah blah blah. I'm climbing up it, and I get almost to the top, and I hit a rock covered with moss, and I slip, and I fall the entire distance back into the water, doing a backsplash, like or a backflop if you want to call it, Uh, and then and I didn't sink very far because it wasn't to a very deep spot. I landed pretty much in soft dirt, and I landed in such a way that my head was actually landed between these two rocks. I mean, I literally could turn my face, and my head and my face would touch the rock on either side.
How far did you fall?
Like I said, 10, 12, maybe in between 10 and 15 feet. But I had fallen, and when I'd fallen and I did that backsplash into the shallow water. I didn't get a bump on my head, but worse is I actually cracked like 6 of my ribs, like 4 on one side and 2 on the other.
Fuck.
And we had to hike out of that. I had help from my friends. They obviously helped me out. And I'll tell you what, just getting up to the game trail was hell. And then I get to the game trail, and we started walking the game trail back again with help from my friend. But as soon as we hit the footpath, I was in total pain. I was in total pain the entire time, but we had to stop several times to it. And what would normally take us about, I don't know, hour and a half to walk to, took us about 4 hours to get home. We were actually getting home late because we were walking up. We didn't bother to stop and tell anybody or send somebody ahead to go get help. No, we were stupid 10-year-olds, and my friends they took it upon themselves to help me to my house, which was a very very long walk.
And this is before they had cell phones, probably.
What was that?
This was before they had cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
Smoke signals.
I'm your age, brother. I mean, 10, that would be, well, I may be a little younger than you. That was like 1982-ish.
All right, well.
So, yeah, there were definitely no cell phones. And, I mean, the funny thing is we walk down the road, there are houses, and we know everybody in the small town kind of thing. We could have stopped and then told them and used one of their phones, but no, we didn't do that because we didn't want to get in trouble. We were all worried about getting in trouble. I got home, I got in trouble, I got grounded, and everything, and I didn't tell my mom until the next morning. And the only reason I told, because I couldn't move. My mom tried to get me up to go to school because it was like a Sunday. I'm trying to get me up to go to school on Monday.
So how many ribs did you break, and how long did it take to heal?
I fractured. I cracked them pretty deep. 4 of them. It was 4 on my left and 2 on my right. And it was the top 4 on my left and the middle 2, or in the middle-ish area. I can't remember if it was actually the middle or not, on my right. And I was having trouble breathing because it hurt. I was in pain. I couldn't move. My mom, because by then, obviously, I literally cried through the night. Of course, not telling my parents. I was hoping that I would feel better. I finally get to sleep. Mom comes down there, wakes me up for school, and I'm like, I can't get out of bed, Mom. I'm in pain. I hurt. And she rolled me over and lifted my shirt and saw these huge bruises on me, and she was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I was immediately sent to the hospital. That's when I found out I broke my ribs. Um, yeah, that was just one of the many adventures of me as a child.
Got anything else from when you were a little older?
Let's see. Okay, I was probably. I moved to where I was like 16-ish. Me and my best friend Brad, and my friend. No, I was 18 then because I just started hanging out with Jeremy. So me and my best friend Brad, and my very good friend, other best friend Jeremy, and a couple of other friends decided we want to go camping at this place called Holcomb Creek. So it's up by Green Valley Lake, which is on the way to Big Bear, right outside of Big Bear actually. Um, and then as you're driving to Holcomb Creek, there's a dirt road to turn off, and you drive down that dirt road for about 3 miles till you get to the campsite. And about a half, not even just really like maybe a tenth of a mile past that down a hill, there's a spot where you can park and you take the trail to Holcomb Creek, which is a 3 mile trail. So we hiked all the way down there, and we decided we were going to camp out. And we were, out there farting around like a bunch of teenagers, having a good time, shooting off guns and things like that, because we brought some rifles to shoot. And, fishing, doing the whole thing. Well, we're jumping off this big rock into the stream, which was decently deep. And we're doing that, and then my friend Farland tweaks his ankle. And it blows up like the size of a softball.
That'll just end everything, yeah.
I mean, blows up like the size of a softball. But, we were a bunch of stupid wannabe tough kids, so, but we were smart enough to bring wraps and things, so we wrapped up his ankle, and we continued to stay throughout the weekend. And then just down the street, there was actually a beaver creek, and this is the funny part right here, because all right, we'd hike down. Our friend hurt his ankle. We should have taken off then. Well, we're sticking around, and there's like a beaver dam about I don't know, a quarter mile down from where we were camping. You can just follow a little path down to it, and you see this big pond. And we used to, go swimming and all there all the time. We thought the beavers had gone. We never saw them. Yeah. So we're sitting there and we're swimming in the water, and then we just hear this loud thunderclap. I mean, it scared the shit out of all of us. We were up and out of the water so fast it was pathetic. Turn around and find out that one of the beavers was there, and what he was doing was scaring us away from his house. So we're laughing about that. We go back. Farland's in pain. We end up packing up, have to hump his ass up the 3-mile hill. The 3-mile hike up to the car, and then we go home. And that was just another fun adventure.
Well, 3 miles with a broken ankle or just a ripped tendon is just almost impossible.
It was strange. I don't think it was broken or nothing. You never got a cast or anything for it.
Yeah, I ripped a tendon once playing basketball, and it took me 6 months to heal. And I ripped every tendon out of it, But
no, I mean, yeah, he was definitely in pain, But we went through it. We did it, It was just another one of our hill trips, It's that's what me and my friend called trips. We'd all go out, have fun. Something would shoot the plan of shit, fuck up the whole weekend.
So did you guys start fires? So you guys built the camp? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, we built fires. We had a fire pit. We cooked on it. We, when we were fishing, we pull fresh trout out of the stream. We gut them, scale them, and cook them.
Cool.
I mean, we did that stuff a lot. Another time up there, back when I was younger, I was probably 14-ish. This is how I found the spot. I went up there with my friend Billy and his dad, Billy Sr., and my friend Brandon. He took us all up camping at Holcomb Creek. And we were setting up camp, and he was going down to the creek to get some water. And he stops, and then he starts going into the bush and yells at us, "Stay where you're at, guys," because we were at the camp. "Stay where you're at." So we're like, okay. And all we see is this, like, old hillbilly type hat walking, like, over, all you see is this hat moving through the bush, and it stops. And you see a stick go up, a stick come down, a stick go up, a stick goes down, stick goes up, stick goes down, and then he goes, holy crap, and runs. And then I have never seen a snake move this fast in the dirt, but a timber rattler, he was trying to kill a timber rattler, and it chased him. It chased him for a good while.
With a stick? With a stick?
Oh yeah, he was trying to kill with a stick. You just hit him in the head, knock them out, and then you can cut their throats and cut their heads off, and they're good.
I usually walk around whenever I see rattlers. I just walk.
He didn't see it; he heard it because he was walking on the stream, and I guess he heard it rattle. Yeah, we didn't because we were further away. We didn't hear it.
The only time I came across a rattler in Zuma Creek, it was just lying there in the sun or something, and just relaxing or something, and didn't even pay any attention to me. I just walked well around him. That's all.
Oh, it was underneath a big, I don't know if you want to call it a tree or a shrub, but it's like a mix of the two. Just a big bushy thing, and it was I guess it was a small tree that it was pretty big and bushy, but it was underneath that. He'd heard it, and he wanted to get rid of it because it was in our area of our campsite, and they didn't want it coming into our campsite at night and trying to get into our sleeping bags or whatever. So he was being looking out for his kids, but he evidently tried to hit it. I guess he nicked it a couple of times, but it pissed it off. It started chasing him, and it literally chased him. I mean, for a good while. It seemed like forever as kids because we were standing and he was gone, and it followed him. It literally chased him. And he jumped up on some rocks, and grabbed another big rock, and was like, "Boys, come help me!" He ended up killing a snake with a big rock, but it was hilarious. That was a good time.
Yeah, we don't have the streams where I grew up. They were dry in the summer, and there were never any fish or anything. So
no, like I said, well, Big Bear is probably one of the higher peaks down here in Southern California, or the higher areas in Southern California.
Yeah, Big Bear, yeah, that's.
And the streams and the creeks are all based off snow runoff, and this is way before we started having droughts. I mean, we had a pretty decent winter. It was actually pretty late in the summer. I
used to go up skiing there.
September.
I used to ski up in Big Bear once or twice.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a good time. I really had, but I never thought. I always thought, well, then again, he did try to kill it, so that's probably what pissed it off. But it turns out it was a female, and it was pregnant. It was a pregnant female timber rattler snake, and
oh, that's no fair.
He killed it, yes.
Oh, well. If it was self-defense, that's okay, but yeah, I always just try and leave things the way I found them. But when they're lying in the middle of the wide dirt road or something, you could just walk around them. If you see them at the bottom, you usually see them when it's too late under the bottom, under rock crevice or and then you're in trouble.
Well, so, generally, they'll generate, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone most of the time. In fact, if they hear you coming, they will generally get out of your way. They will try to avoid you. But I guess she was in a mood, and he had to get back and by.
I'm trying to remember. They sometimes they go out in the sun, and when they get the sun makes them lazy, and they don't want to move or something.
Yeah, they love to sun themselves on rocks and absorb the heat.
Yeah.
Because they're cold-blooded. So.
Right.
Yeah, I had never seen any. I thought that thing I'd seen fast snakes before, as kids up there in the mountains, we'd catch red racers, and we'd let them go and they'd take off like lightning. But I never knew a rattlesnake moved like that. I always thought it moved slower. They move slower because generally, they're just kind of like doing their thing, And if you see them, they kind of coil up and let you know, and then you go away, and then they go away.
My folks' house back in California is kind of near Zuma Canyon, and now, of course, there didn't used to be anything there, but now the things that move really fast are the coyotes, and they just, one guy was walking his dog, and the coyote came up, grabbed the dog, ripped, took it away with the leash. The owner, the leash just flew out of the owner's hand. The dog was disappeared into the bushes and was never seen again.
Hey, that'll happen, you know.
So
Especially if the coyotes live in an area where humans are at, because then they start to become, or a protected area, because then they lose their fear of humans, and then so they don't
well,
really
they
stay
won't
moving,
attack people because they're too big, But they'll definitely one owner like a few houses down from my folks used to leave her garage door open and her dog in it, which was dumb because they're right on a creek bed, and where they live, there's the homes and there's a creek bed that runs behind them, and so yeah, one day the dog was missing out of the garage, and well, guess which the coyotes had for lunch that day.
That
So,
happens.
but they might attack toddlers, or something, But
I mean, that would probably explain why I just ran up, snatched dog, and split. Is because it's like, yeah, I can probably get this. I'm not gonna really worry about the human. I can just snatch his dog and be gone, and I'll have me some dinner.
yeah, when my dad walks his dog at night, he brings a cattle prod kind of thing with him. So hey, Gavin, did you think of any outdoor stories yet?
I got nothing, man.
Have you ever stepped foot outside?
Never.
You've never been like hiking or camping other than in the
I was being sarcastic. No, nothing stands out. I mean, I've had pretty mundane trips. Just walk up a mountain, walk down a mountain.
No injuries or occurrences. Nothing strange. Like you walked up, you saw an animal you never saw before.
Nah, man, it's just
never seen a snake. Never had to light a fire.
Oh, snakes, man. Those are everywhere though. But I've never I'm gonna chase this snake.
Well, I never chased a snake. The snake chased my friend's dad.
Yeah,
you had to do something to piss off the snake. They don't just haul off after. Oh, there's a human. Let me go get him.
Oh no, yeah, like I said, he tried to beat it with a stick.
Oh well, that'll piss him off. Yeah.
He tried to hit it. I guess he nicked it a couple of times, and it just got pissed and went after him. Oh, little hint. At least here in Southern California, I'm pretty sure it's anywhere there's timber rattlers. Only eat them if you're starving because they taste like crap. They really have no meat on them whatsoever. They're mostly fat because they live in the wilderness.
Wait, there's no meat? I thought snakes taste like chicken and they taste good, and you just gotta.
Well, I mean, there's some, but not like you'd find on like a southern prairie or a diamondback, or even a sidewinder. A southern prairie or a diamondback, or they've got all sorts of different breeds of rattlesnakes
I'm not sure which kind it was, but I remember it was big. The one that I came across. I mean, the king snakes or coral snakes or everywhere, they were small, but that rattler in Zuma Canyon was huge.
Oh yeah, they get pretty big. The one that we killed that night was well over 3 feet long, and the way you know it's a timber rattler is it's dark. It's like it's a dark brown. It's got like a rattlesnake pattern on it, like a southern prairie or a diamondback or what have you. But the scales are all dark instead of lighter colored.
All right, so Maggie, any other bushcraft stories, or we could just watch the fire and?
Well, actually, kind of speaking of fire, this is a short story, but when I used to go up north, my father-in-law's place, he's the type of guy that puts a bunch of logs down, pours a thing of gasoline on it, and lights it with a blowtorch. I mean, that's his idea of starting a fire, which is fine when you're at a cabin and you're just trying to sit around and have fun. But anyways, when I first started going up there, he'd always challenge me. He's like, I bet you can't make a fire without using gasoline. And I was like, oh, shit, that's easy. And he had, like, newspaper and stuff, so I'd crumple it up, light it with a lighter, and bam, fire. So the next time up, he's like, all right, I bet you can't start a fire, without the newspaper. Okay, get some leaves, get some grass, all that kind of stuff, and start a fire. Then he goes down to, well, I bet you can't start a fire only using one match. Okay, I'll use one match, start a fire. You know, it keeps getting harder and harder. Then when I got my flint stick, I went up there and I was like, hey, George, I bet you I can start a fire without using any matches. And he's like, yeah, no way, man. So I pulled the thing out and I got some grass together and whatnot, and I started a fire. And it did take me some time, just like tonight. It took me a little bit of time, especially because it's pretty wet around here, so all the sticks I was using were pretty wet. But I did get it going, and he was like, all right, man, my hat's off to you. So
A lot
that's
of
just
people
a little
can't even do that. Dude.
you know, it's stuff like that. If you've never tried it, then you don't know if you can do it or not.
That's true. Like my flint still, I have my keychain. It's got like a, I think it's magnesium or whatever. It's like an alloy type. I'm pretty sure it's magnesium. You can scrape some of that stuff off and then hit it with the flint and steel, and that stuff
Yeah.
will ignite and burn in water virtually.
Yeah, magnesium you scrape some magnesium shavings off, that burns at 5,000 degrees, and the sparks from the ferrocerious rod are 1,000 degrees. Can you hear that okay, or was I breaking up?
No, I heard it.
Okay.
One thing, I learned how to fire as a kid as a Cub Scout in the mountains. That's the one cool thing about being a Cub Scout and you're living in the mountains. You actually got to go out and do shit all the time. It wasn't like you had to wait a month or get everybody together to go do it. You'd learn it at your Cub Scout meetings and you'd go out and try it with your friends. But like trying to light a fire with like pretty much like a bow, like a fire bow. That's pretty hard, and it took me a long time to figure out I had to cut a notch in the bowl where the stick went in to create the fiction to let air into it, so it would actually it would feed the friction and cause smoke and cause embers to be created. And that wasn't one of my best, my easiest patches to earn, but yeah, I got that, you know.
Dude, that's something I've never done. I've never made a bow drill or anything.
It's not that hard. I mean, there's a million YouTube videos on it, but pretty much you take a piece of wood, you either chop it or baton it out to where you got a semi-flat piece. Then you notch out a hole that would fit the stick you plan on using for the bow rod. Then you notch out a section of that so air can get into it, and then you take another piece of wood or another section of wood from that whatever piece. You cut a smaller notch into that, and then you whittle two notches, two rounded tips into your stick that you plan on using. And you want to use kind of a thicker stick, probably maybe a little bit thicker, quarter or half inch. Probably, yeah, half-inch or bigger. Probably no bigger than 3/4 inch, though, because then it's probably waste. And you put the one rounded into the hole with the thing. Put with the vent that you plan to actually get the smoke from. You take the other one, act it kind of like a block for your hand, so it's not rubbing in your hand. And then you just take like a stick and tie a shoestring around it. One is through one end of the stick, and you wrap it around once around the bow with no knots or anything. Go to the other end, and you just go back and forth. It acts like kind of like an axle, and you do that really quick till you get some real serious smoke starting to pour out of it. And then you remove the stick. You blow on. You throw some like really, really, really fine tinder on it, like a bunch of crunched up pine needles. You crunch them up and you break them up to where they're fibrous, really, really fibrous, and you put them in there. And you blow on it until it ignites, and then you add smaller tinder, and then larger tinder, and then some tinder sticks, and then some burning logs, quicker burning logs, and
That would. Yeah, one thing I want to get is make a little bag of for my bug out bag is to get some grass from when the next time the condo guy cuts the grass with a machine, just let it dry outside bone dry in the sun, and then put that in a baggie for starting fires.
Oh, there you go. Or you could. I mean, well, shit. Your house. You're in a suburban area, a populated area. You could do like this thing I saw on YouTube through Prepper Minded 101. He took like those Altoid tins, some cotton gauze, and some candle wax. That you use to make candles out of.
Yeah.
You put a layer of cotton gauze down, or you put down a little bit of the candle wax, you melted candle wax, put in cotton gauze in layers, let it absorb it, put some more candle wax in there, and then leave the top one up so you can get to it and make it like fibrous so you can start a fire with it. And those things burn for like a half hour. You can probably cut that thing into sections and use it for each time you need to start a fire.
Yeah, I've petroleum jelly thing in my or my bags. Use that with any kind of cloth, and you're apt to start a fire, I think.
Yep.
But all right. So I was gonna do one last thing, not about the trailhead, but I rented this house in Malibu when I was running my studio, and right at the bottom of Zumi Canyon, there was this guy who did futures trading, and his name was Awad. He was like from Egypt or something. He's from Europe, really, but he was originally from Egypt. And he had this gigantic 5-acre property, and I'm gonna try and find it, but it was just up from Zuma Beach, and if nobody else has any stories, I'll just end this chat with where this party was. And basically, I used to run this studio in Burbank called Digital Post. It was an audio studio, and so I used to make halfway decent money at the time. And so here's Zuma Beach, basically. And shit. Yep, there's the trailhead on this side for Zuma. But so I got this. Where's Cuthbert Road? Let's see if I could find it. It should be. Is that it? Basically, yeah, there's the horse ranch. Let's see if I could find exactly where it was. Come on, man. All these rich people in Malibu is just fucking ridiculous. I swear. So, I mean, I was down and out in Malibu. That's the story of my life, man. So, let's see if I can find Cuthbert Road. That's Bonsai. Basically, there's the Trancas Canyon store. Is that it? Yeah, so this should be the road that goes up to Cuthbert somewhere. And when people have so much money, it's like not even funny. They can do what they want. Anyway, so there's this house, this 5-acre house, and I rented this like guest house on it. And so I had this. My friend had another recording studio, but it was. I did film stuff and he did music stuff. So, but the people that showed up at his place were all about there for the fun and the parties too. And people that showed up at my place, all they wanted was a fucking check. And then they did their gig and bailed, and they just wanted to know when they could come back and get another check. And they didn't want to go to parties or anything. But so I threw this wild party. There's like, I don't know, 200 people there. We had a band. It was basically, we were doing Van Halen covers, from my friend's recording studio. It's called Music Box, and it's a very rich person bought Music Box, so didn't have to worry about making money. And I'm trying to find the fucking house. Mother sucker. It's in here somewhere. Anyway, shit, I know this house is up here somewhere. I didn't know they had so many Oh, that has to be.
It was probably sold the land a while ago, and they put like several different houses on it.
No, no, I've seen it. It's just I don't know. Fuck. It was right before it went off up to. Well, anyway, let's see if I could find it. I remember what it looks like. But so basically, there's the main house, and what happened was the owner left his like 13-year-old son in charge, and he took off to Europe. And so basically, I had this party with 300 people, and we had like this band going until like 2 in the morning, you know. And the neighbors naturally, because my guest house didn't have any insulation, and the band was playing open, so naturally the rich neighbors were calling and complaining because there's this rock band playing, ain't talking about love until like at 2 in the morning, and and shit, I'll never find it. I found it the other day though. Shit. And so there's like basically the main house, and there's a guest house on the bottom with this gigantic trampoline, because somebody installed like a 50-foot trampoline. So there's like people jumping up and down on this trampoline, bouncing, 20 feet in the air. And my house had all these, cool lights, and I built this. This was like the digital post Halloween blowout, and so I had built this gigantic drink, and it was like. We called it toxic sludge. It was like it was like Hawaiian punch and a bunch of dry ice. So and like every kind of booze you could imagine. We threw in everything in there. And so you take up a glass and it would steam, bubble and boil and stuff coming out. So somebody called the police, but because the band was taking breaks, there's no street lights up here because the neighbors don't like street lights. And or the owners, so the police could not find the place, and but they kept getting complaints, and every time they would go out, the band was on a break, and they couldn't find it. So they finally find the fucking place, and so they march up, and to the owner's house, the big house, and the 13-year-old kid goes, "It's Steve, it's Steve, he's having a party," and his dad is in Europe, So there's like 200 people there, so so the police finally walk up, and it's like, "Are you Steve?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm Steve." It's like, and I have this, drink in my hand, and I'm so drunk I could, barely stand up, and the dry ice, was like bubbling, just stuff pouring out of this, the smoke is just pouring out, and she's like, so they have the good cop, bad cop thing, and so basically the good cop just starts laughing, but you can see how all these homes are here. It's just fucking ridiculous. I don't think I know there's Cuthbert Road up here somewhere, man, but Bonsall, Bush, Merritt, fuck. Yeah, that's the Malibu Ranch Market. Up Bush. Is that? Fuck it. Anyway, so basically, the girl who's the bad cop goes, "Well, do you have any ID?" And it's like, "No, I don't have any ID. I mean, it was my home. I leased the place, and all my friends were there, so, or at least all the studio music box's friends was there." And so it's like, "Well, have you ever been to jail before?" It's like, "No, have you?" And anyway, but the other cop, it just can't help. He's almost falling over laughing because I just look. So anyway, so I basically said, "Okay, no more." Well, she says, "Well, if the band starts up again, you're going to jail." So as soon as they leave, the band wants to come. Let's start up again. Let's start up again. It's like, are you kidding? I don't want to go to jail. So I guess they had already done 5 sets and stuff. So anyway, but that was when I used to make a lot of money. I had a rental right up around here, but I didn't stay there for very long because it was very expensive. But it was fun, and I don't know where the hell Cuthbert Road is on here. It should say it. Ransford. It's basically there's one main house and then a bunch of all these fucking roads look alike up here. I mean, they've added some roads now. Anyway, I used to live all over Malibu. Like I used to live in at the beach, and then I moved to Hawaii because I like the beach. So that's the story of my life. And I cannot for the life of me find Cuthbert Road, but it's right above Zuma Beach, and everything costs a fortune up there. Anyway, so that's that. Any other bushcraft stuff, or should we just call this one a wrap right now? Let me check all the.
I'm cool with the other way you want to do it. You want to just stay and talk about bushcraft and things like that, or if you have any questions for me or anything like that. I mean, I'm not like a huge professional, but I had a lot of adventures when I was younger.
All right, so shoots. Why don't? Is it too late to do a Gun Channels giveaway? It's not too late. Let's do a Gun Channels patch giveaway. Everybody likes that. So I am.
Let's give it to Smeggy.
No, let's not.
I like whoever just said that.
I was going to ask a question that I already told you the answer to, but everybody, that's too hard of a question. So let me think for 1 second. Let's see. All right, what? 1 second. Give me a second to come up with a question. It's not going to be a bushcrafting question, though. All right, let's see. All right. What is the name of the head of the Union Pacific Railroad?
In real life or in the show Hell on Wheels?
Well, in 1868 when they were building it. They are historical characters. That was real life.
You need first and last name or just last name?
First and last.
God damn it, I don't want to go do that much research. I think I know it, but I'm not going to say it because people out there are guessing. Now, where do they have to type this in? And in your lobby, or in like the Gun Channel's lobby, or?
In my chat somewhere. I can only have so many fucking pages open. I'll check. I don't see it in the. I look in the external YouTube too, and I'll look in the HVS internal. I don't see it yet in either place. So whoever wins, if you want to win the patch for Gun Channels, you have to. Okay, Sean Ponnery just got it. So. Rest Easy just got it right after, but he did get the middle initial. Hey, you have to be a member of Gun Channels, Rest Easy. Shoots. Sean got it a little. Oh, you used. Did anybody use? Well, Sean got it first. He's a member of Gun Channels, and then I don't know if is there any points for second place. Rest Easy, we got this. You came in second though. But since you used the middle initial, I'm assuming you Googled it. So, Sean, I'm going to say because you were first and you use the middle initial. I know you didn't Google. You watched that, right, Sean? I want to give him a moment. Unless you don't want the patch and want Rest Easy to get it, you can have the patch because you won. So. He defers.
But either way, Rest Easy should head over to Gun Channels and join. It's fun.
Yeah, join Gun Channels and you'll probably win it next week. I mean, there's a lot of chats that give away Gun Channels patches, and it's not just mine. I think a lot of them do at the end. And so, who wants? Well, Smedgy, Sean wants to give it to Smedgy. Smedgy, do you want it, or do you want it?
No, thanks. Let's give it to the other guy.
Okay, Rest Easy. If you're still there, Rest Easy. Join Gun Channels, and then after you join, go to gunchannels.com/DPG. That's Daily Patch Giveaway. It's free to join. It doesn't cost anything, and there's some crazy people on, and there's some normal people on, and there's
we won't say which category.
And I don't know who's who anymore. So I don't know which category I'm in, but the following story, the preceding stories, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Except for the motherfucker who killed the rattlesnake. He's guilty. So, Rest Easy, we got this. Join Gun Channels. After you join it, it's free. Go to gunchannels.com/DPG, and then you just enter your information, and you get a Gun Channels patch. And that's cool. So, hey everybody, this has been the Monday Lock and Load, and and check out the Fox Company Prepping on Fridays. I think it's at like 11 Hawaiian time. It's before any of the Gun Channel starts. They have a really cool Man the Fuck Up Friday chat, and it's Ron Swanson's channel, and it's really fun because they have all those British accents, and they don't have really topics, But there's knife crafters, bushcrafters, all those guys are serious at it, and but the chat is just like crazy. I think a lot of it's because of all the slang that I don't get, because from the UK slang over there. But and check that out, Fox Company Prepping, and thanks for watching, everybody. It's been another Monday Lock and Load on, and Gun Channel's joint, right? So y'all be cool. Aloha from the Big Island, and if the next hurricane doesn't knock us out, we got another category 4 or 5 coming in. If this one missed us, I'll be here next Monday. So y'all stay dry.